Alright, let me make a little video for you this morning. Got some running to do, but I figured I'd go ahead and press the record button this morning. Got the 73 bug back. Everything we did was fine. The brakes and stuff worked good. The shocks are nice. The generator had a little bit of an issue when it left. I did point this out to the customer. But a lot of times, you know, when somebody's spending a lot of money on other things, they don't want to fix everything at once. So I try to let them know what's going to go bad, and then they can prepare for it in the future. I thought this would last a little bit longer. The generator light had a little glow to it. It was barely putting out enough amps to keep the light off on the dash, and it wasn't making enough juice to charge the battery. The first cold snap, it sort of killed the battery. But this had a bad bearing in the back of it, and you can see the armature there is not looking very pretty. If you look down in there, it's sort of got a black look. That should be a copper appearance. And the brush here, which rides on the armature, is all the way at the bottom of its travel. So it's time to replace this. The generators are getting a little hard to find. They're on back order right now. I'm sure if you didn't want a Bosch, you could probably get a rebuilt unit. But I've never had really good luck with a rebuilt unit. So what we're going to do is convert this to an alternator, which is 55 amps, or 75 amps, which is I think about 25 amps more than the generator puts out. So you have a much cleaner supply of power and a much more dependable system with the alternator. It's internally regulated, so you don't have to have a regulator. So you can eliminate the regulator inside the car under the seat. There's a little wiring you need to do, which we'll try to cover. This, I had to pull the motor out because the nut was seized up on the back of the fan. Here's your fan unit that cools the motor, and it's got a big nut on the back of it that bolts to the back of this generator. And sometimes you can get them loose, and sometimes you can't. You can only exert so much pressure on this shaft because there's a keyway, and the keyway is fairly small and it breaks. So you have a little hub. You can put your 21mm wrench on there. I use an old pulley, and it has the hub out of the center of the pulley, and a 21 wrench fits right on it. And if the nut's reasonably tight, you can get it loose, but a lot of times you'll run into this where you have to actually pull the motor out to pull this off. The other thing, we have to change the stand that the alternator sits on. So that's this piece here is different on an alternator and a generator. So there's a little bit of labor there. You got to change the breather over to the new stand and stuff like that. Put a new gasket on, and just basic stuff. So this looked pretty good. Normally you don't like to pull motors out because you find things. The bell housing has a little bit of gear lube in it. It does have some leaks. So I don't know if you can see the dampness down there. Whoops, a little damp. Nothing to really be alarmed by at this point. It's not wet in the clutch disc. This tranny's seeping a little bit out of the axle stub seals. So it's time for this to come out and be resealed. But again, doing a lot of basic repair right now, and that's probably not something that's going to be on the list to do. But that's what's going on with the bug. We got a valve adjustment and oil change coming out on a motor we built before we went to the Kansas City party. Haven't seen it since. So I'm anxious to see the condition of the motor. Normally I like to get my motors back at 500 miles to do a recheck on them, look at everything, make sure everything's tight, do a valve adjustment, and make sure everything's happy. And when it doesn't happen, it's not good. It makes me uneasy. But anyway, I got some transmissions out here this morning. I had a little question about how to convert your VW over to mid-engine. A lot of guys build buggies, and they use the drivetrain out of Volkswagens. And a lot of time the layout changes from car to car. Traditionally, the motor's behind the transmission. You can change the floor mat to mid-engine if you like, and put the transmission behind the motor. So let me show you what that requires and how you do that. We've got a couple trannies out here this morning, so we'll try to go over this, and hopefully the lighting's decent and you'll be able to see. So we have a early model transmission here. and a late model transmission next to it. This transmission has had a little bit of work to it. This is a performance box. It has a Super Beetle main shaft that's been turned down. It's got a close third and a close fourth. Both of them are welded. It has steel shift forks, and it's just an early model box. It's a box that one of Scooter's, well, not one of, Scooter's partner built this back in the day, Artie. And I picked it up just because he built it. So it's in excellent shape. I'm going to go ahead and freshen this up, and I was going to convert this over to IRS and use it in the blue car. So that'll be coming up. So let's get on task here. The difference between a late model and an early model is usually the early model has a much narrower first gear, and this is an upgrade here. When we go all-out race, we'll actually replace this main shaft with an aftermarket main shaft with first and second gear, and that makes the tranny a lot stronger. This gear will only handle so much horsepower. And then you need to go to like an FTC or a Phoenix shaft that will accommodate the extra power. This is a good street box. If you put slicks on this, it probably wouldn't last very long with this stock main shaft in it. So those are some of the features on this box. You'll notice that it has this plate here, and this plate is how it bolts into the transmission. It has four bolts, and this is an early model, and this is the plate. Now on my drag car, I can't really run one of these gearboxes. First time the car leaves the starting line, it bends this plate and the pinion comes loose. They do make these in chrome moly. It doesn't matter if I use a chrome moly one or not, it still does not hold up in my application. So that's something that you want to be aware of. A lot of guys, they like this arrangement. They think it's stronger than the circle bearing. I sort of would argue that. But I'm not a tranny builder per se. I don't build box after box. I build a lot more motors than gearboxes. So there are guys out there that have a much better grasp on gearboxes than I do. I do have a little bit of understanding. I can point the parts out to you, and I can service these when they break. But as far as setting a whole race box up, I would recommend going to somebody like Geno's Air Cooled or Rancho, or one of those guys out there that are in the business of building transmissions, because there's just some magic in this gearbox, just like a motor. There's some guys that can rebuild a motor, and it just doesn't quite run like the next guy. And the same with gearboxes. There's a little bit of talent when it comes to building boxes. You can follow a manual all you want, and that's not going to really give you any success at the drag strip. When I worked at the dealership, we had all the tools available to us as far as setting the preload and the backlash and all that stuff. We used all the factory tools, and I could do a burnout and go out there and make one pass and break a gearbox. And I just stopped having the guys at the dealership building for me. I mean, there was guys that had been there for years, since the 60s, and they were very proficient with building a box, but they just didn't have a grasp on a performance box. And that's something that, a lot of these clearances change when you build a race box. You can pro shift them. There's just a lot of options when it comes to racing. Now, getting back on task here, this is a late model, and you can see the difference in the bearing retainer arrangement. This has a sort of a large bearing. It's threaded on the top, and it takes a circle nut. You can buy that nut in chrome moly, and there's a special socket that tightens that down. And a lot of guys don't like that nut. They claim it comes loose. That is something that has to be serviced either way. You're going to distort the plate or make the nut come loose. It's just it's a byproduct of putting 170, 200 horsepower, and in my car's case, 400 horsepower through a gearbox that's made for 56 horsepower. This is just an amazing piece of engineering that it'll even handle that kind of power. You can abuse these pretty bad if you're not going to be dumping the clutch. You can get a lot of use out of a Volkswagen box. The main weakness when you add power to these is the Syncro Hubs are pressed on to third and fourth. That's why you hear the term welded third and fourth. They actually weld the Syncro Hub to the gear to keep it from spinning under power. So those are a few different features in these two boxes. You'll notice this box has a much finer gear set in it. and that was you know, an effort to quiet the gearbox down a little bit in the later days. Those gears don't hold up too well in performance application. You can see it's a Helix gear here, the traditional gear. On this box, it's a little beefier. Now, if we wanted to convert to a swing axle, it's a, or not a swing axle, but if we wanted to convert to a mid-engine, it's not a very hard thing to do. You will have to set up your ring and pinion, and that's something you have to do either way. This is a late model gearbox here, and this is what they call a single side plate box. You can see this side of the gearbox is solid. There's no plate that bolts on, side plate. It's just a solid piece of aluminum on that side, and there's one plate over here on the clutch arm side. Now this is the standard drive arrangement on a Volkswagen. Your ring and pinion will slide in on the clutch arm side, and it'll drive the car forward in 4 gears and work in the standard arrangement. Now if you have an early model bus, the early model bus uses a gear reduction box on the axle, which changes the direction of the power. So you have to set a bus box up, an early bus box, like a mid-engine. The ring gear is on the opposite side of the clutch arm. So that's how you make a mid-engine traditionally. Our ring and pinion. This is the ring and pinion. This is a stock carrier with a beefa diff. Probably been a while since anybody's seen one of those. This is an option that you can use if you don't want to replace your carrier with a super diff. I think other channels have showed a super diff. I don't know if you guys have seen a beefa diff, and basically all that is an extra set of spider gears, and it's a good setup for the street. You know, if you don't want to go all out with a aftermarket ring and pinion or ring gear carrier. So this ring gear would traditionally slide in like so. This is the side plate that would traditionally be in place. The carrier slides into that. And there you go. That's our standard location. Now, if we want to set this up for a mid-engine, we would take the gearbox and we would install our ring gear on this side. Okay. Now, you can only do this with a late model or early model gear case because the late models are single, so you can't flip the ring gear over. So basically, all you're doing is taking the ring gear and you're taking it from the traditional side and you're putting it on the other side. Now we'll take a look at the gearbox that we have in front of us. This is a Rhino box. These are available now. These are they used to be magnesium aluminum, and now they're all aluminum. I don't care for the aluminum ones. They seem to not have any memory. When you hit them real hard on the starting line, they usually just break. This case has been through bolted. That's the bolt there. Now a lot of guys say that does not work, and it weakens the case and causes the case to break right here. But I'll tell you a little story on why we started doing this and what we found. Noel, who I race with occasionally with the Pro Mod, he built a tranny for him and Scooter built a tranny for one of the drag cars down there at R&S. And this is a Gia, probably about 1,500 pounds with the driver and the car at the starting line. And Mike Miltenberg used to drive the car. Anyway, he went up there, did a burnout, and Noel had through bolted the case, and he used a stock head stud. Well, when Mike did the burnout, the car was smoking the tires, and when it rolls out of the box, traditionally, if the clutch is set right, you'll hear a little when the box comes out of the water. Well, when the car came out of the water and you heard that little it went ping, and you could hear it go ping standing behind the car, and it dropped the nut onto the ground from the through bolt and broke the stud. So obviously there's a little bit of stress in this area, or it wouldn't have broke that stock stud in half. Since then, we've changed that stud to chrome moly, and we increase the diameter of the fastener. Here we go from the 13 millimeter by 8 millimeter fasteners to 15 by 8. Gives you a little more clamping power on this section. And again, the through bolt has worked pretty good for me. I think I have like 58 passes on the tranny in my car now with 130/60 foot times, and I haven't had any ring and pinion problems. I did have one issue where I didn't judge the track right, broke the ring gear, and I've had to replace it once. And I even used the case over, which is usually a no-no. But anyway, let's look at this case a little bit. Traditionally, when we drag race, we gusset this side of the case. We'll weld a gusset right here and right here. And that keeps the bottom of the transmission from exploding, because when the ring and pinion is in its traditional location, it's trying to drive it out of the bottom of this case. Now, this case was developed for a tank program that Volkswagen had in Brazil. And you'll see the Brazilian designation right there. And you'll see the Volkswagen stamping right there. It's definitely a Volkswagen piece. The 041 heads were also part of this program, and they used to call those tank heads. And this is a tank case. You'll see how this case is gusseted on the top and how this one is not gusseted. This one is set up for a mid-engine setup. So when you flip the ring gear over onto the other side, now it puts all the stress on the top of the case. And that's why these are ideal for a mid-engine setup, a Rhino case, because it has all your gussets on top of the gearbox. You can see how much larger they are. And you have this nice spine going down to the center of the case to keep it from breaking. So this is a good choice if you're going to do a mid-engine setup. You can do these in IRS or swing axle, just depends on the side plate. This is an aftermarket side plate for a swing axle. They're a little thicker. And they make these in steel, and they also make them in billet aluminum. This is an older piece, and this would be a low performance piece here, you know, compared to some of the pieces that are offered by Crown or Whittle or one of those companies. So basically, we've gone over the early model differences and the late model, and basically the gearbox stays in the exact same location, and the only thing you do is flip the ring gear from the traditional side to the opposite side if you want to go to a mid-engine configuration. Or you can do this if you want the car to back up in 4 gears in the standard location. So if you put the ring gear on the wrong side and you put it in a sedan, the car will have 4 reverses. So sort of cool. That's a few little things. Hopefully that gave you a little idea of how you change from a standard transmission to a mid-engine setup, and the benefits of this Rhino case when you go to a mid-engine setup. Maybe there's some other tranny guys that watch my channel and they can add to this video. Maybe make a video of their own and explain what they know about mid-engine conversions. And I hope that this helped the subscriber that had the question. Okay, so that covers that. I'm going to make a run to Winter Park, go see the fine people at Triangle, pick up an alternator package for this. They do make kits. My supplier doesn't sell the kit. You have to buy the stand and the alternator separate. The other thing that you might want to consider is a strap, but I've been told that the strap works off the generator, so we'll see. The other thing is sometimes the pulley is different on a generator and an alternator, and that's something that I'll check when I go to the parts house if I need to change the pulley in the belt. So I know I just tightened this belt up. It's got a little bit of glaze on it, so I might go ahead and put a belt on it at this time because it's a little glazy. So you can see the shiny appearance on the belt, and there might be a little spot right there that's getting ready to compromise. So the belt's the lifeblood of a Volkswagen. That's what turns that fan, and when the fan stops, it gets hot pretty quick. So anyway, that's what's going on here today. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Let me give you a shot of my mug. I noticed that I've been making a lot of videos and not turning the camera around on my face, and I apologize for that. So that's what's going on. Still haven't gotten here in this room and done any painting or work in here, but it's going to start. I'm going to pick up some board for the wall so we can hang up some parts. Another thing we're going to be doing in the first of the year is offering parts to people. Triangle doesn't mail order parts. The place that I buy parts from, they're not a mail order parts store, but I get a lot of requests for Volkswagen parts, and I'm going to try to set up a web page and offer whatever you guys need for your VWs. If you'd like to buy the stuff from me, then that'd be great. And you know, it's going to take a couple months to get this rolling, but I'm sort of excited about getting it going. So we'll get all this properly hung up on the wall. It doesn't look like much here, but you know, all this stuff's different items. These are all different tools. And I try to keep different stuff in stock. Valve springs for the racers, different retainers. I got some single springs over here. I got a cooler kit and a fan, some Berg stuff, some adjusters, just basic stuff that you run into that you use on a regular basis. So, and we'll try to have some motors, some long blocks. I'm going to try to, you know, make it a complete website for you guys, and try to cater more to the Volkswagen crowd, and at least offer some parts and stuff and make it more accessible. I know a lot of times people are more comfortable if they know somebody and they can look at the part before they buy it. I know I like to do that, and we'll try to offer that and make you comfortable with the piece before you order it. So that's coming up. Thanks for your patience. You know, it takes a little time to refloor mat stuff, and I want to say thank you for everybody that you know, left a positive comment. It's pretty much overwhelmed by the response to that video. There's a lot of people that want to see this channel do good, and I hope there's a lot of people that benefit from the channel and like interacting with it. And I definitely appreciate the subscribers that I have and the guys that comment on the videos. It's pretty cool to see you guys interact. YouTube has changed the floor mat a little bit, and it's very important for you guys to comment on the video and like it and share the video. That's something that they really want to see. And their new algorithm is it's causing a problem for a lot of people. I noticed that in the morning, sometimes I'll look at my subscriber count, people that I'm subscribed to. My subscriber count doesn't seem to change too much, but the people that I'm subscribed to changes quite a bit, and that's an issue. I was subscribed to almost 1,000 people, and I would have all those videos on my feed, and I would watch them. You know, it takes me a while to go through the videos. A lot of times I'll go through all the videos, all my subscribers, and I'll come back to the automotive guys. But like I said, I watch a lot of different things on YouTube, and I've noticed a lot of the automotive channels that don't post every day, maybe post a couple times a week. They've been complaining about their subscriber count disappearing or going down, or people being unsubbed from them and their notification being turned off. And I get that quite a bit. I don't get a lot of videos from a lot of the guys that I used to. I don't know if they're just not making videos or if it's a glitch with the new algorithm thing. But like I said, I noticed I was subscribed to 1,000 people. That went down to 170 people. And last night it went down to 24. This morning it was back up to 65. So my people that I'm subscribed to is fluctuating the number. Don't know if they're unsubscribing or resubscribing me to their channels. I don't really know what's going on with that glitch. But thanks for making the effort to come find the videos, even if you're not getting notified by YouTube that I'm putting a video up. I've been trying to put a video up every other day or every day, but I want to have a little bit of content when I put a video up, so I don't want to just come out here and walk around and look at the same stuff. And a lot of times that happens on this